Hey folks, I'm Keith.
I'm Alana.
She's Alana, and this is Wine School Debrief. Oh, we did that really well this time.
Good. That was good.
And we have a great class. It's one of my favorites that I teach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is?
I do know.
What is it?
It's exotic wines.
That's right. We used to call it the Exotica class.
Oh, yeah.
But now we just call it the Exotic Wines class.
So make sure you watch till the end. Keith talks about...
Oh, that's right. I do. What's the most hated, reviled flavor of wine through the centuries?
That's a good one.
It's funny.
So after you watch or before you watch, go ahead, please, and like and subscribe.
Please do. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's watch this thing. Thousands of years. And you don't even know it. The name of the country is only 2 years old, though. So 3. Does anyone know what this is? This very haphazard.
Mediterranean.
This is the Mediterranean, exactly. So historically, what do you think is the most important region for the history of wine? Is it Spain?
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I just want to point out the map. That is actually you have drawn using negative space.
Yes, I
the
have.
Mediterranean.
Yes, I have.
So that is in fact Spain, southern France, and Italy.
Yeah, that's true. I have
And
used.
North Africa.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that is a point well taken. My maps are always a little bit postmodern.
Yes.
France, Italy. Yes. No. This
North
is
Macedonia.
no. Closer. Yeah. This is so. Let's say a show of hands. How many people think Spain is the most important in the history of wine? No. France. No. Italy. All right. Greece. All right. Armenia. No. What about the Middle East? No. North Africa. No hands? All hands. Armenia, Middle East, North Africa, and the North African islands are the places where we actually viticulture starts. Actually, that's now. But you'll also notice that we have a space, right? All the grapes in the world, they come from the Mediterranean basin, originally coming out of Turkey and Armenia, which is where. Does anyone know why Armenia is important to you all? This class really is about the origin of wine, and I'm really pushing against people's ideas that it's very Eurocentric.
Right.
And I should point out, though, when I'm talking about grapes, I'm talking about vitis vinifera, the wine grape, not all grapes.
Right.
So, if anyone goes and watches whenever it comes up the East Coast wine class where you talk about native varieties of grapes that were found in the Americas, that's not what we're talking about. Vitis vinifera, which all come from the Middle East. All right. And my map skills are just on point.
Postmodern. I love that. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Instead of saying I really can't draw maps. Postmodern. Mount Ararat? Man, are there no Jews or Christians in this house? I mean, Jesus Christ sakes, fucking Noah. Jesus. That's Noah, right? What did Noah do when he got out of the because in all of our stories, there's always truth, right? Even if yes, there were floods, yes, there is the Mount Ararat. You don't know, who knows, but what did he do? He got drunk. First thing, he got drunk. Right? With wine, right? There's a reason that happened in the Old Testament in that moment in time, because that is actually where it's grown. It's still grown today. So this is critical in all grapes. All grapes come starting from here, coming through here, and somewhere around 300 Common Era, actually propagating throughout Europe. But all grapes, and now mind you, this is a very long history. So what grapes are we using here? were all grapes that were actually very common, very important, but you don't know. Because we have a very narrow focus, right? So one of the things that makes it easy for me to train winemakers and sommeliers, because in fact, the majority, right, 95% of all wines that are consumed in America are only from a handful of grapes, legitimately only 8 grapes. That's it. So our narrow focus, right? Sure, we call them different things, right? Right? Red Burgundy is Pinot Noir, right? And it's, or it's Pinot Nero, or it's Blauburgunder, right? It's all these different names for these same grapes that we use.
Blauburgunder. Just want to give you props for that.
Oh, yeah.
That's...
Yeah, and especially because, how I teach, our teaching methods are very different.
Yes.
Like, you have great presentation, and where I just sort of shovel everything in my brain, and it all comes out in weird ways.
It works.
It did. I know. I did not know I had that in my brain. So yes, thank you. There are tens of thousands upon tens of thousands of different grape varieties that still exist today. And only about 5% of what actually used to exist still exists, right? So the genetic diversity that's still out there in the world is amazing. But we don't see any of it. And we also are really, really concentrated on very specific places in the world that we drink wines from, right? Everyone drinks wines, right? The majority of Americans drink wines from California, a little bit in Washington State and Oregon, a little bit from Italy. Surprisingly, only about 7% of Americans drink, 7% of the import market. And then, a little Spain, a little Greece, a little Germany. And that's about it. That leaves everything else. So all the grapes originally come from here. All wine grapes come from the Mediterranean basin over 10,000 years. A few of them are used throughout the rest of the world, but any other grape that we use, it's from here. So every grape that we're sourcing from, we're trying wines from New Mexico. We're trying wines from Northern California, where I made wines in Napa Valley for a very long time. But this is, everything comes from, we just don't know, we only know the tiniest sliver. This class, I can't show you everything. So, but what an exotic wine is, it's either coming from, so what's the answer? Question, what is an exotic wine? Well, it's something that the American population, you don't know. And that you couldn't know, right? Like you couldn't just walk to your wine shop and get this. Say, show me something exotic or something different, and they could show you. These are the wines that just are shielded from view. They don't really exist in the marketplace because they're just not, unless you happen to live in Manhattan. So this is where it gets where I'm showing you certain things. And everything I show you has a certain history to it, and it's important. The idea is to show you both a grape or a place, or both, that you didn't know existed. To show a light on it that otherwise you didn't have. And there's another layer, too, of what's exotic wine. So an exotic grape or an exotic locale that actually wasn't exotic at all at another point in history. But right now it is. Another thing that makes it exotic flavor, right? Things that you never discovered before. So
I just want to stop here because it's coming back to me, this class has evolved over time, and you give this wonderful definition of what the class is, because people sometimes are confused about what is this class going to entail. And at one point we called it rare wines.
Exotic and rare wines.
Wines. And people expected us, to bring out a vertical of something crazy. So people, but it's interesting to me how people immediately, when they think rare and exotic, they just think expensive.
Yes.
And really part of the ethos of the wine school is expanding your knowledge so that you don't get focused on price and the economic side or the exclusivity of the wine world, but you think about, what's rare is something that is really unique, has survived through the ages, has fallen out of favor, or has really exotic flavor profiles.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And just that can challenge your idea.
Right.
So like in this class, like, so one of the things we do is we never mention price points in class.
Never.
Because we don't want to bias people. But I remember, so in this class, I actually had a wine from right underneath Mount Ararat, which was like $70 a bottle. And I didn't mention that because I had it right next to a bottle that was only about $15 and retail. So yeah, but they didn't know that. Because I want to show ideas, not necessarily like brag. Like, here, I have this rare wine.
Right. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And most people